Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sunset TV. I'm Tina Jha. Over the next half an hour, I'll be taking you through news and views from across India and the world. As always, up first, the headlines of the day. Quad moving ahead with a constructive agenda for Indo-Pacific region, asserts Prime Minister Modi. Welcomes the launch of the Quad Fellowship Program as a unique initiative. India-US partnership based on trust, reiterates Prime Minister Modi in bilateral talks with US President Joe Biden. At the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal focuses attention on service sector exports, asserts India is one of the world's most preferred investment destinations. Elections for 57 seats of Rajya Sabha notified. Nomination papers to be filed till the 31st of May. Voting to be held on the 10th of June. And the flood situation slightly improves in Assam. However, over 6.5 lakh people in 22 districts still affected. Meanwhile, Kedarnath Yatra also disrupted due to bad weather. Now, a quick check at the other big stories of the day. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets US Secretary Antony Blinken in Tokyo, discusses Ukraine conflict as well as other important regional issues. National Health Authority launches revamped Aabha mobile application to manage health records under Ayushman Bharat. Prime Minister Modi invites former Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga to lead delegation of Japanese MPs to India. Vijay Singla, sacked as Punjab Health Minister, also sent to police remand till the 27th of May. The World Economic Forum launches India chapter of Alliance of CEO Climate Action Leaders to fast-track India's climate action. The Supreme Court directs Jharkhand High Court to decide maintainability of PIL, seeking CBI ED against Chief Minister Hemant Soren. The government warns restaurants forcibly charging service charges on consumers. Monkeypox is a containable situation, says WHO, also highlights need to stop human-to-human transmission. Moscow will consider re-establishing ties with the West, but current focus will be on ties with China, says Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. And at least 50 people killed by militants around Nigeria's Borno. The top story of the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday met the heads of the Quad countries on the sidelines of the summit. He held bilateral talks with US President Joe Biden in Tokyo. The talks covered many aspects of India-US relations, including trade, investment, defense, and also people-to-people ties.
हमारे साझा मूल्यों और सुरक्षा सहित कई क्षेत्रों में हमारे समान हितों ने इस ट्रस्ट के बॉन्ड को मजबूत किया। ट्रेड और निवेश में भी निरंतर विस्तार होता जा रहा है। यद्यपि ये हमारे पोटेंशियल से अभी बहुत कम है। मुझे विश्वास है कि हमारे बीच इंडिया यूएसए इन्वेस्टमेंट इंसेंटिव एग्रीमेंट से निवेश की दिशा में कॉन्क्रीट प्रगति देखने को मिलेगी।
Mr. Prime Minister, there's so much that our countries can and will do together, and I'm committed to making U.S.-India partnership among the closest we have on earth.
Talks between Prime Minister Modi and the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, focused on issues of mutual interest. Prime Minister Modi also attended the India-Japan bilateral meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in Tokyo. Leaders of the Quad countries voiced their commitments to the alliance on Tuesday at the summit held in Tokyo. Here are the details.
All four leaders of the Quad nations on Tuesday, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, US President Joe Biden and Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, agreed to strengthen a free and open Indo-Pacific based on the rule of law.
हमने वैक्सीन डिलीवरी, क्लाइमेट एक्शन, सप्लाई चेन रेजिलियंस, डिजास्टर रिस्पांस और आर्थिक सहयोग जैसे कई क्षेत्रों में आपसी समन्वय बढ़ाया है। इससे इंडो पैसिफिक में शांति, समृद्धि और स्थिरता सुनिश्चित हो रही है। क्वाड इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र के लिए एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव एजेंडा लेकर चल रहा है। इससे क्वाड की छवि एक फोर्स फॉर गुड के रूप में और भी सुदृढ़ होती जाएगी।
The Japanese Prime Minister said the Quad nations voiced concerns over the war in Ukraine and the denuclearization of North Korea amid rising cases of the coronavirus.
インドも参加する形で、ウクライナでの悲惨な紛争について、懸念を表明し、法の支配や主権及び領土一体性等の諸原則はいかなる地域においても守らなければならない、こうしたことを確認いたしました。
Kishida emphasized the need to show solidarity among the four countries to the international community as the global order has been shaken due to Russia's invasion in Ukraine. He acknowledged that each of the four countries in the Quad has a slightly different stance on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but he said all the leaders agreed that each country has to abide by the principles of the rule of law, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. Albanese said his new government's priority aligns with the Quad agenda.
The new Australian government's priorities align with the Quad agenda, taking action on climate change and building a stronger and more resilient Indo-Pacific region through better economic security, better cyber security, better energy security, and better environmental and health security.
Biden said the Quad isn't just a passing fad and that there is a lot of work to be done to secure the peace of security of the Indo-Pacific region.
Biden. Joe, please.
But in a short time, we've shown the Quad isn't just a passing fad. We mean business. We're here to get things done for the region, and I'm proud of what we're building together, and I look forward to our vital partnership flourishing and for many years to come.
Kishida asserted that all four leaders agreed that they cannot accept any unilateral change of the status quo by force. Bureau Report, Sunset TV.
Leaders of Quad countries also launched the Quad Fellowship Program, a first-of-its-kind scholarship program designed to build links between the next generation of scientists and technology professionals from all four member countries of the grouping. The Quad Fellowship Program will sponsor 25 students from each of the Quad group countries each year to pursue master's or doctoral degrees at America's top universities in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
I encourage our students to apply for the Quad Fellowship Program and join the next generation of STEM leaders and innovators building a better future for humanity.
Shifting focus back home, the Varanasi District Court has fixed 26th May for hearing on the matter related to the Gyanvapi complex. The government advocate Rana Sanjeev Singh said the court fixed 26th of May to decide the maintainability of the case. The court has now given a week's time to both the parties to file objections on the commission's proceedings. A three-judge bench of the Supreme Court, remember, had on the 20th of May ordered transfer of the Gyanvapi case from the Court of Civil Judge in Varanasi to the Court of the District Judge. The Supreme Court has also directed that the district judges should complete their hearing within a period of 8 weeks. Continuing with some other national news, more than 80% of children in the age group of 15 to 18 years in the country have received their first dose of anti-COVID vaccine. The number of doses of anti-COVID vaccine given across India now exceeds 192 lakh, in fact crore, I beg your pardon. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia has sought equitable access to vaccines and medicine through global supply chains. Addressing the 75th session of the World Health Assembly in Geneva, he expressed dismay at the recent numbers provided by the global health body on COVID deaths in the country. The National Health Authority released a new version of the Ayushman Bharat Health Account mobile application under its Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission scheme. The app has been downloaded more than 4 million times so far. It was earlier known as the NDHM Health Records app. Public sector telecom company Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited will move 30,000 Wi-Fi hotspots to the PM Vani framework by the month of June. Railways has already covered around 100 railway stations in PM Vani. According to officials, this will benefit tourism, smart cities and also rural areas of the country. Punjab's Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has dropped Health Minister Vijay Singla from the cabinet over allegations of corruption. Singla was arrested shortly after he was sacked from the Punjab cabinet. The Enforcement Directorate recorded the statement of Chitra Ramakrishna, former Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Stock Exchange, who is currently lodged in Delhi's Tihar jail. The statement was recorded twice inside the jail under criminal sections of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Crude oil production in India declined 1% to 2.47 lakh tons in the month of April. The reason for this is the reduction in production from the oil fields of private companies. According to the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, the country produced 2.47 million tons of crude oil in April. It was 2.5 million tons in the same month last year. Meanwhile, the country's exports grew 21.1% to $23.7 billion during 1st to 21st of May. Due to good growth in various sectors, segments like petroleum products, engineering and electronic goods saw particularly good growth during this period. Also during the third week of the month, exports grew nearly 24% to $8.03 billion. In some other important news, the nomination process has started for 57 Rajya Sabha seats spread across 15 states. The nominations can be filed till the 31st of this month, while the scrutiny of papers will be held on 1st of June and voting will take place on the 10th of June. 11 seats are falling vacant in the state of Uttar Pradesh, while 6 members each are retiring from Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, 5 from Bihar, 4 each from Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan and Karnataka. 3 members each are retiring from Madhya Pradesh and Odisha, 2 each from Telangana, Chhattisgarh, Punjab, Jharkhand and Haryana, and 1 from the hill state of Uttarakhand. Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, Congress leaders Ambika Soni, Jairam Ramesh and Kapil Sibal, and BSP's Satish Chandra Mishra are some of the members whose terms are ending. The Congress party has constituted an 8-member Task Force 2024 to implement decisions taken at its Udaipur Chintan Shivir. A political affairs group has also been formed under the leadership of Interim President Sonia Gandhi. Party's Organization General Secretary K.C. Venugopal said a 9-member central planning group will coordinate the proposed Bharat Jodo Yatra of the Congress starting the 2nd of October. The Task Force 2024 includes senior party leaders P. Chidambaram, Mukul Vasnik, Jairam Ramesh and also Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. In the political affairs group, along with Rahul Gandhi and some other senior leaders, 2 important members of the G23 of the Congress, Ghulam Nabi Azad and Anand Sharma, have also found place, while Digvijay Singh, Sachin Pilot, Shashi Tharoor and some other leaders have been included in the central planning group. So with that, time for a short break here, but coming up on the other side, the World Food Programme has warned that catastrophic failure in food supply chains could lead to starvation and global instability. Details on that story and much more from across the world when the news returns. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Time now for all the main developments from the Russia-Ukraine war that has completed 90 days. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has warned world leaders at the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos against pursuing economic benefits at the expense of their own security. Stoltenberg said freedom is more important than free trade. He also referred specifically to debates on the use of Chinese technology in 5G networks and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline for Russian gas. An aide of Mariupol's mayor claimed that workers digging through rubble in the ruined southeastern port city have discovered as many as 200 bodies. He also claimed that the bodies were found in the basement of a collapsed apartment building and were in a state of decomposition. Meanwhile, Russian news agency has quoted the country's defense minister as saying that Moscow is deliberately slowing its offensive in Ukraine in order to allow civilians to evacuate. Sergei Shoigu also claimed that Russian forces had not attacked civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. Kiev has repeatedly accused Moscow of targeting non-combatants during the conflict. Ukraine's deputy prime minister says the decision on her country's status as a candidate for membership in the European Union should be made next month. While European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says Ukraine must win the war it is fighting against Russia, making President Vladimir Putin's decision to invade a strategic failure, she told the WEF conference in Davos, which is underway, that Moscow is treating millions of people not as human beings, but as faceless populations to be moved or controlled or set as a buffer between military forces trying to trample the aspirations of an entire nation with tanks. Sweden and Finland will attend the NATO summit in Madrid next month, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said in Davos. The NATO summit will be held in Madrid between 28th to 30th of June. The United States is confident that Finland and Sweden will be able to resolve Turkish concerns over the Nordic countries' NATO membership bids. Deputy U.S. Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks said the U.S. will be able to resolve those concerns with Turkey directly. Meanwhile, Russia's Security Council has said that the country will achieve its objectives in Ukraine and is not chasing deadlines there. It also alleged that Ukraine is being used by the West to contain Russia, echoing charges made by its president. He claimed NATO, led by the US, believes in endless simmering conflict. Time now for some other global updates. First, from our neighborhood, the Sri Lankan cabinet approved a proposal to seek a loan of $500 million from the Exim Bank of India for the purchase of petroleum products. Facing its worst ever economic crisis since its independence, Sri Lanka increased petrol prices by 24.3% and diesel prices by 38.4%. After the second hike in fuel prices since the 19th of April, petrol now costs 420 Sri Lankan rupees a litre and diesel is 400 Sri Lankan rupees a litre. Sri Lanka is also struggling to overcome a shortage of medicines. Hospitals are reportedly turning back patients and postponing life-saving procedures due to lack of medicine and medical equipment. Looking at some other global updates, Taiwan thanked the US government on Tuesday for reaffirming its support for Taiwan and its commitment to the island's defense and national security. US President Joe Biden said on Monday that his country will intervene militarily if China were to invade Taiwan, declaring the commitment to protect the island is even stronger after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It was one of the most forceful presidential statements in support of Taiwan's self-governing in decades. Thousands of protesters took to the streets of Sudanese capital Khartoum and its twin city of Omdurman to denounce the October military coup that plunged the country into further turmoil. Riot police fired tear gas at protesters while confrontations took place between the security forces and protesters in some neighborhoods. Sudan has been politically paralyzed since the coup, with near daily street protests. Egypt will be the host of the next United Nations Summit on Climate Change. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said his nation will push countries to make good on their pledges to sharply reduce greenhouse gas emissions and allow climate activists to protest. The incoming president of COP27 said implementation of pledges will be the overall goal of the conference. And at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos in Switzerland, the Emir of Qatar called out the harsh criticism the country is facing since it won the bid to host the FIFA World Cup, taking place in Qatar at the end of the year. Qatar has been under scrutiny by human rights and labor activists who have expressed concerns that deaths on all Qatari construction projects have not been accurately investigated. That scrutiny has, however, produced improvements in the country's labor laws after the FIFA vote in December 2010. China has urged the US to earnestly follow the rules of free trade on Monday after President Joe Biden launched the long-anticipated Indo-Pacific Economic Framework with 12 Indo-Pacific nations. Speaking in Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said the new trade deal should promote free trade and open cooperation rather than inciting geopolitical confrontation. Well, the conflict in Ukraine has aggravated food insecurity worldwide due to precarious supply chains, increased fertilizer prices, and also blocked grain exports. The World Food Programme on Tuesday warned that the situation could tip several countries over the edge. Here's a report.
The World Food Programme is warning of a catastrophic failure in food supply chains that could lead to starvation and global instability. Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe. It has over 25 million tons of grain that cannot be exported due to Russia's blockade of its Black Sea ports. Together, Ukraine and Russia export a third of the world's wheat and barley and half of its sunflower oil. Russia, on the other hand, is a top supplier of fertilizers whose prices have surged because of the war. Kremlin's forces are accused of blocking Ukrainian ports. Interruption of these affordable food staples is threatening food shortages and political unrest in countries in Africa, the Middle East and Asia. Ukrainian farmers say they are running out of time to work their fields for the summer harvest.
There's still 25 million tons of grain and oilseeds left in Ukraine. That's the third of last year's harvest. So we already have a huge logistical problem. So it's already late. It's already too late. But talking about it like this, it makes me kind of laughing from nervousness, and emotions.
Huizenga moved to Odessa 20 years ago and now manages a 37,000-acre farm. Huizenga said farmers are faced with a huge logistical problem as time runs out to export their grain. The World Food Programme says the global impact will be devastating and will likely tip many countries over the edge. It says there is no doubt that the crisis will trigger areas of starvation in the world. Bureau Report, Sunset TV.
And it's time now for all the sporting action. So beginning with hockey today, India gave a poor display in their second Pool A game of the Asia Cup men's hockey tournament, losing to Japan 2-5. India were trailing 1-2 at the end of the third quarter and conceded 3 more goals in the last 12 minutes. The victory took Japan to the top of the Pool A standings with 6 points from 2 games, ahead of Pakistan, who have 4 points from 2 games. India remains stranded at the third position with just 1 point, and their chance to now reach the next round looks bleak. India play host Indonesia on Thursday in their final pool game. In chess, young Indian Grandmaster R. Pragnandha defeated China's Wei Yi to book a spot in the semi-finals of the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour Chasuble Masters 2022 online tournament. The 16-year-old Pragnandha will take on Anish Giri, who represents the Netherlands in the semi-finals. World number 1 Magnus Carlsen will take on China's Ding Liren in the other semi-final clash. Onto the football pitch, Sunil Chhetri had returned to the Indian football team after a hiatus of 6 months when he was named in the 25-member squad for the international friendly against Jordan in Doha on the 28th of May. The 37-year-old last played for India during their 3-0 win over Nepal in the SAFF Championships final in October, but since then was sidelined due to injuries. The squad announced by national coach Igor Stimac, besides Chhetri, included Ishan Pandit, also making a comeback in the forward line at the cost of VP Suhair and injured Rahim Ali. Talking about cricket, Sri Lanka were 143 for 2 at the end of day 2 of the second test against Bangladesh, which is being played at Mirpur. Lankan captain Dimuth Karunaratne was batting at 70, with Kasun Rajitha yet to open his account. Earlier, recovering from 5 down for 24 in their first innings, Bangladesh reached 365, with Mushfiqur Rahim remaining not out on 175. Liton Das made 141. Rahim and Das together had a 272-run partnership for the 6th wicket. And in tennis, reigning champion Novak Djokovic won in straight sets on his return to Grand Slam action at the French Open on Monday, and 13-time Roland Garros winner Rafael Nadal eased to victory. But Naomi Osaka crashed out in the first round. Djokovic defeated Japan's Yoshihito Nishioka 6-3, 6-1, 6-0 in the first night session. Nadal brushed Australia's Jordan Thompson aside 6-2, 6-2, 6-2. And before we wrap up, a quick reminder of the top stories of the day. Quad moving ahead with a constructive agenda for Indo-Pacific region, asserts Prime Minister Modi. Welcomes the launch of the Quad Fellowship Programme as a unique initiative. India-US partnership based on trust, reiterates Prime Minister Modi in bilateral talks with US President Joe Biden. At the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal focuses attention on service sector exports, asserts India is one of the world's most preferred investment destinations. Elections for 57 seats of Rajya Sabha notified. Nomination papers to be filed till the 31st of this month. Voting will be held on the 10th of June. And the flood situation slightly improves in Assam. However, over 6.5 lakh people in 22 districts of the state still affected. Meanwhile, Kedarnath Yatra disrupted due to bad weather. So that's it from us in the News Tuesday edition. See you again same time tomorrow now. Take care of yourselves. Good night.